Welcome guys to a brand new video on One Punch Man World, and yes, the title says every single tier list is absolutely goddamn trash. Now the reason why I'm making this video is because obviously I did see a bunch of videos released on like tier lists recently. Now no hate to any of the content creators, I just want to say that to be honest, the way we are ranking characters honestly sucks, because if we're making a tier list video and it's usually focused on only manual play, it makes no sense to do that, because at the end of the day you're only manualing one character and the rest is the AI, and there are certain characters that the AI just cannot use and therefore affects the ranking, and therefore it is very important that players actually understand that yes, these characters might be decent to use as your manual character, but the moment you slot them into your AI slot, or the moment you don't want to use them and you want to use other manual characters, they actually become absolutely horrible. Now I should have released a video quite recently going over the best characters for the AI to control and characters you do not want the AI to control. Now my previous tier list video in fact is also trash. The reason why I say that is because there are certain characters I place relatively high. Apologies for that noise. I placed relatively high, but I honestly should not have put them that high. And I think many videos or many tier lists you see will also place certain characters high or certain characters low, when in fact it should be changed. So what I mean is the tier list only has like S tier, double S tier and whatever. I think that is a terrible way of looking at the characters. I think what we need is, if you guys have seen Pridewin before, so Pridewin's let me go ahead and see if I can show you guys Pridewin's tier list. Let me go over to it right now. So yeah, this is Pridewin over here. So this is DK, ignore that. What I would like to see is our tier list have something similar to this. Now not focused on story, high difficulty, but just change this to be manual play, AI play, universal like AoE single targets. And there are certain characters as well that just doesn't perform that well against certain bosses as well. So I would prefer to see this in our tier list rather than just slotting characters in double S tier or an S tier, because it doesn't really show how good a character is. So let's go back into the game and briefly talk about it. So we all know the tier list puts my tier list, actually let me talk about my tier list. My tier list puts Speed of Sound Sonic high in S tier, or whatever the highest tier I have. I would honestly move him down. The reason for that is if you're not manualing him or you're not putting him in the first slot, his damage overall sucks. Honestly, compared to any other DPS character, his damage overall sucks. That is because of his main kit. Once you put him in any of this other position, he can't actually use his kit properly. He needs to be hit, he needs to be targeted. But once you put characters all in the other slot, they never draw aggro, or they do, but not as much as the characters you have in front. Even if you're using AI, yeah, Speed of Sound Sonic will actually be relatively good if he's in this slot over here. He draws aggro, he counter attacks, he gains a lot of his top speed, and his damage is actually good. But in general, there is way better DPS character than Speed of Sound Sonic, so you'll never really use him as your main DPS character or your manual character. So if you're going to slot him in any of this other position, his damage is just not as good as many of the other DPS in the game. In fact, it actually becomes relatively bad. So let's say I had a tier list and I put him at S tier before, I would put him down all the way to like B or C tier. A B or A tier, like low A tier, simply because of that reason. Now, Speed of Sound Sonic is not the only character like that. There's multiple characters like that. There is Silverfang. To be honest, Silverfang is always going to be good because of the heals he has. And to be honest, his kit doesn't really revolve all around the counter attack that he has, or the depletion, sorry. So it can actually trigger depletion random times, I guess. So it's a lot better with Silverfang, but at the same time, Silverfang is also a character that if you slot in this section over here, his damage will go down a little bit as well. That is worth noting when you guys are making tier lists. That's what I wanted to say. Certain rankings, yes, if you're manualing them, it is absolutely insane. Those characters are insane. Atomic Samurai as well, really good if you're manualing him and whatnot. He also has a really good impression arm. Oh yeah, that's also something we should take into account as well with rankings of characters in tier list. I totally forgot. Impression arm. We need to take into account whether the impression arm changes the character's rankings as well, because initially we might put Genos at like A tier, but honestly if you have his impression arm, it literally goes all the way to S tier. Apologies for my phone vibrating. I got a phone call. But yeah, he literally goes up in a tier, in my opinion. There is certain stuff that influences people's tier list or influences the position of characters in the tier list that is worth noting, and that's why I have a problem with the tier list that is going around, or any tier list I am seeing right now. We need to say this character is good in this content, this character is good for this reason, he's not good in this content, blah blah blah. Atomic Samurai, you don't want him here. You don't want him here at all. Literally, his damage actually isn't good. However, if you have his impression arm, you can actually still use him even if his DPS does not rival the other DPS you have in your team. Whether it's Terrible Tornado, whether it's Metal Knight, because at least you have this over here, which provides you guys a 40% increase in composure reduction, which is actually very, very good. So, like I said, that influences the tier list overall. Don't get me wrong, Atomic Samurai, once he's here, you're manualing him, he's insane DPS character. Yes, you guys want to put him at the highest tier possible, but do note, if another better character comes out, and now you have to renegade him to like other tiers, and you don't have his other position, and you don't have his impression arm, there's pretty much no reason to use those characters. Like I said, Speed of Sound Sonic might be a good character, but he definitely isn't top tier, especially when you will rather use many other manual characters as your main DPS. Main DPS meaning the ones you want to control. So Terrible Tornado, a lot of people would rather use that, a lot of people would rather use Zombie Man, and a lot of people would rather use Atomic Samurai as the main character, depending on dupes and whatnot. I have seen a lot of people putting Metal Knight in A tier. Metal Knight is one of the most consistently insane DPS character that you don't need to manual. You literally don't need to manual this character, and in fact if you manual him, it actually reduces his damage overall. If you manual him, the bots will target you, causing you to move about, causing you to lose your buffs. So therefore, Metal Knight will not be able to fulfill the highest DPS he can do. I recently made a video on how to improve the AI's damage, and I said that, and I also proved it, that Metal Knight, when he's in this position, he loses damage. If he's in this position, he does way more damage. Now, obviously, I also think, taking into account how hard it is to use a character in positioning your tier list as well. Atomic Samurai is not an easy character to use. I know a lot of people call me like scrub and say I'm just trash at the game. He is not easy to use. You need to counter attack at the right time. You want to dodge at the right time. Very, very tricky gameplay that many people might not be able to, you know, fulfill properly. In fact, there's another character, Hellish Blizzard. I don't know how good she is, but because I think it's extremely hard to use her, I'm just gonna say she's trash. I've seen the damage. A lot of girls have seen her damage. She isn't a character that, you know, is good overall straight away. You need to get to know her, get to use her, know the best combos. Plus, she also looks like a character that is reliant on dupes as well. That is also something that we need to pay attention to when, you know, ranking characters as well. So I think moving forward, I want to make a tier list where I have certain rankings as well within the tier list. So Atomic Samurai, absolutely S tier for damage, S tier for manual play, like A tier or B tier for AI control, and then against certain bosses as well, certain characters does not perform, especially Tatsumaki. Now, although she's like the best DPS character in the game, she's by no means the best option for every single content, especially when the bosses moves around, especially when two enemies spawns at the same time. It might not be best to control her if there is like mobs. Probably not best to use her because she wants to go into the liberation state. So she's not like, yo, once you have her, actually technically, yeah, she is an insane DPS actually. But still, there's still stuff worth noting. She's not S tier across the board. She's S tier and then A tier or B, yeah, A tier with mobs and whatnot. Maybe even lower, since she can't go into liberation state, she can't get the buffs from the SR impression arm. So overall, in my opinion, I think the tier list we have been seeing are absolutely trash, but are useful to you look at just if you want to know which character is decently strong. Yes, Zombie Man, absolutely absolutely insane DPS character. Yes, Atomic Samurai, the insane DPS. Metal Knight, insane. I guess good. I wouldn't say insane, I would say good. But honestly, there is like a lot of factors we need to take into account when ranking characters, and I just hope moving forward we can actually admit that and make a tier list that has a lot of different parts to it as well, so that a lot of people are aware of why certain characters are placed in certain tiers, in my opinion. In general though, every single SSR character, absolutely top tier. Every single SSR character. Now, there's certain characters, once you like, perform the combos appropriately, are insane nutty characters. Now, in my opinion, I do think the best DPS character for the technique one is probably Atomic Samurai, but I prefer using Speed of Sound Sonic, honestly, I can't lie. It's way easier to use him. I love his movement, speed, and whatnot. The only real issue with him is like, he gets damaged way too easily. With Atomic Samurai, you get less damage, and he also has like great composure damage, which in general, composure reduction is one of the most like important thing in a game, in this game, sorry. So yeah, any character that breaks are usually some of the strongest characters in the game, in my opinion. Anyways, that is it for the video, guys. Let me know down in the comment section your opinion as well. It's been your boy AC Gamer, and I'm out.